and I'm more than happy to have it happy hours back after so long. So,
Yeah.
and what a cool way to have it. It's comeback with Carla, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so we're talking about videos today, right? And so I use a specific software video. It's called Filmorama. And I like Filmorama because you pay a one-time fee of, I don't remember how much, John, sometime like 40 bucks. I don't know. I don't remember. But it's like a one-time fee and the program is yours for a lifetime. So you don't have to keep paying every year. It's just you pay a one-time fee and then it's yours. But, you know, for those people who like to use Apple or Mac products, you can use iMovie. It's just included with it. And so one thing is that no matter what editing software you're using, it doesn't matter. They're all the same. Like the buttons might be in different places, like they might let you do different things, but they all work kind of like the same way. So the one gripe that I have with Filmorama is that it doesn't let you like it doesn't let you, like, for example, okay, the standard is that you put in and I'll show you, I'll show you. But let's say you bring in media, right? It automatically goes to 5 seconds. So every picture is 5 seconds long. Okay. But you have to keep this in mind is that you don't want your video to be longer than 3 minutes and 30 seconds because people have a short attention span, right? And if I see a video and it's longer than 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I'm not watching that unless it's like, you know, Stephen Colbert or something. But so you do have to keep that in mind, right? And so one of the things that I have a gripe with Filmorama is that they make the standard time 5 seconds, which is true for every video program. They make it 5 seconds. So then you have to go in and tell it, okay, no, I want it to be the perfect time. So for me, and this isn't true for everyone, it depends on who's making the video. But when I make a video, I keep each like photo 5 seconds long. And I don't know, John, I'm currently working on a video for Whittier, which I can bring up now and I can show you what I'm talking about. And I'll share my screen with you. But I put in a whole bunch of photos, which is cool because each photo is 2 seconds long. So you can bring in more photos to tell the story and it's visually engaging. So I think that sometimes you can have like, I don't know, let's say 40 pictures at 5 seconds each. I don't know, 5 seconds is kind of a long time to wait unless it's part of your story, right? So, and unfortunately with Filmorama, you actually have to go in through each photo, click it and say, okay, how long do I want it to be? Some video programs have a feature where you do it in bulk. You just hit shift, you pick all the photos and you go duration and you can cut it to two seconds, right? Filmorama doesn't do that, but it's a good program for what it's worth and for what it does. Another video editing software that is out there is, and this is like the one that everybody knows, is the one by Adobe. And I can't even think the name of it right now because, you know,
Adobe Premiere.
Premiere. But the problem with Adobe Premiere is that it's such a heavy program that it makes your computer crash like a lot because it's a huge software. It's huge and you don't need it, right? And then the one that I use on my phone, because I do use a different software on my phone. The software on my phone is called, and let me see, let me pull it up. And the coolest part about this is that, like, you know, you have access to different things. So the one I use on my phone is called Kinemaster, and it's spelled like this. I'll show you what it's called. And of course, this is for all people who do not use, who don't use an Apple phone.
I just got that and just started playing with it.
Did you? It's such a great program, Susana. It really is. And what I love about Kinemaster is that it does let you make your pictures like 1 second long, 2.5 seconds long. And it's super easy because you're just sliding things over, right? It's super easy. And it gives you access to all of the folders on your phone so that you have everything at your fingertips. And it's so intuitive too, right? And like it has a place for like layers, and that's where you would be putting in like the and I'll show you. I'll show you right now. Actually, let me open it. And I was gonna have us. I don't know if you guys have like access to files that you could use, but what I'm gonna do is I'm working on a video for UC Links, which is for Whittier, from our site visit to Whittier. And I'm actually in the middle of it, and I'm gonna bring it up, and let me see if I can share my video here. Hold on, let me bring it up. How do I share my screen? Well, actually, let me open up the program first so you don't see all of the crazy windows that I have open. So right now we're working with the software that like I said, it's called Wondershare Filmora. But Susana, you already know about Kinemaster, and I love Kinemaster for the phone. The problem with Kinemaster is that you have to pay like the $11 every year as it renews, which is fine. You know, I don't spend my money on anything else except for video projects. But I'll show you. Let me see. Okay, I have it here. So let me share my screen with you. Let me go back to that. Where? Okay. Let's see. Let me share my screen. Share screen. Okay, I will share my screen. Here we go. Share. Okay. So can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Now, how do I make this big? That's a problem. Sometimes I don't know how to make. Oh, that's right. So this new project I'm working on, I believe is, let's say it's this one. Okay, let's say it's this one. I'm not sure if it's that one, but okay, here we go. What does it mean? Screen sharing has stopped as the share window is closed. What does that mean? Well, let's start again.
Yeah, stopped.
Okay. Share screen. Here we go. Share. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing that you do with any video editing software, okay, any video, whether it's the one you use on the iPhone, any video software that you use, the first thing that you have to do is you have to bring in your media, okay? So whatever media you're working with. But then you also have to think about it like this, okay? You're telling a story with your videos, right? You want to tell a story. And so how do you want to tell the story? Do you want to tell the story as it happened, which is how I do it, right? When John and Mara and I go to a site visit, we all take pictures. John takes pictures, I take pictures, Mara does a lot of audio, which is great because sometimes I don't have the time to do that because I'm running around doing other things. So then we all put all our stuff into one folder and then we share. And so I download it. But the first thing you want to do before you even think about doing a video is you want to think about, okay, how do these pictures look? Okay. So for example, I have a folder where I have all of these UC Links pictures. And you want to ensure that whenever you have these photos, you have to take into consideration, okay, how do the people look in this? Did the site that I visit, did they give me, do they have, okay, like with La Clase Mágica, I never have to worry about it because everybody that is a participant in La Clase Mágica signs a photo release, right, and a video release. So I never have to worry about, oh, do I have to cover the people's faces? Another one of our sites, we always have to worry with them because they don't have a photo release. So for example, like I made a video and John and Mara looked at it and they, had to tell me to cover the kids' faces with a heart because we don't have photo releases for them. So you have to take all of that into consideration.
And
Now,
can I join in just super quick on that? Is that like even with the Clase Mágica, like I think any program wants to think about who else is there? Did you have visitors? That kind of a thing, because like we've had La Clase Mágica recently where a girl brought a friend, so we didn't have paperwork and she was in so many pictures. So I had to tell all the college students who were taking pictures, you can't use the pictures with her. And when I posted it, I put a heart on her face, just like what you said.
Yeah, exactly. So, those are all things that we have to keep in mind. So, okay, for example, I have a folder and let me show you the folder that I'm working from. I want to make sure that I'm sharing with you everything so that you're not having to picture it, okay? So let me go and show you. So I have this folder here. Hold on, let me open it first because if it's not open, I can't share it with you. All right, so I have this folder, it's called UC Links and I'll show you where it is. And it's called UC Links videos, okay? And right now I'm working on the one that's called Whittier, so I'll show you. Let me go back to screen. Okay, here we go. And then let me share with you again. So here we are. Okay, so this is for Whittier. Okay, this is my, can you see what I have here? So in this folder, I have all of the photos that John and I and Mara took, and I also have video clips. So for example, that's a video, and you'll always know the difference between like video file and a JPEG file is because the video file will have, it looks kind of like a video. You see that, and it'll also say MP4. The other problem is that you have to take into consideration, like for example, this is a JPEG photo, right, that I'm pointing at, and it says JPEG, but John imported some that are not JPEG. They are photos that he took. See, it says HEIC file. Those are files that you work with when you're using any Mac product, okay? And sometimes it doesn't matter. Thankfully, Wondershare doesn't care. They read whatever file, but depending on the program that you're using, it might not like those files. So sometimes you have to convert them. That's a whole bunch of other stuff, but let's not talk about that. What I want you to see here is that before I even utilized any of these pictures, I went through them, and you'll see, okay? You can see that, right? I made the picture bigger. I'm not sure if you could see it, but I just clicked on the photo. So here's the photo. You can see where my cursor is, right? I'm pointing to it.
Yes.
Then I click on it, and then it makes it bigger. I don't know if you could see that it like got bigger.
No,
Oh,
actually
okay.
you're sharing the big folder, but not the tiny.
Oh, okay. So what I did before I even did anything, before I started this project, is I went through each and every single one of those photos. I had to. There's a whole bunch of files, and then I have to say which photo. Go ahead. At that time, somebody was going to say something. So I look at every photo, and this is how I think about it. Okay, now you're the creator, right? You're telling your story. What story do you want to tell? What story do you want to convey? Like, okay, what feeling you want to convey? But here's the most important part, and this is the part that I learned right on the job as a photographer. If it's not a flattering photo, do not put it at any. Do not. Okay, maybe you can crop it, right? Maybe you can go in and you can say, okay, well, I want to crop this photo because this photo is, not flattering from the waist down. Let's say, I don't know, or this photo is not flattering at all because this person doesn't look very good in this photo. So you don't want to add it to your project. You always have to think about it. Would you want someone to put a photo of you that's unflattering? Would you put a picture of you that's unflattering? You wouldn't, right? So you have to take that into consideration as well when you're doing a video project. So let me take you back. So this is my folder that I'm working from, okay? Because you always have to have all of the media that you're using for your photo project. You have to have a folder for it, okay? Because when we go back, and let me go back here, okay? Because when we go back to the program, okay? So when we go back to the program, oops, I thought I just opened it. Oh, maybe I closed it. Okay, let's see. Now it's gonna tell me that I stopped sharing that window. I hate sharing screens. Okay, so we're back to this thing. Okay, so now we're back to the project. Okay, so now I already told you all of the photos and all of the videos are in that one folder. So when I go to begin this project, oh, okay, and here's the thing too. A lot of those photos that I'm using, I already went through them. I cropped them if they were unflattering or if there was a lot of empty space, right? Sometimes you take a photo and there's like empty, and I'll show you. Like sometimes I'll take, let me see if I can show you. Okay, let me see this one. Can you see this on the right-hand side? Okay, so this photo on the right-hand side right here, I'll stop the game, this one. Okay, this photo on the right-hand side right here, this one, I actually had to crop it just a little bit because when I took this photo with the GoPro, it had a lot of space up here, right on top. It was the ceiling, kind of, right? And it was unnecessary space. You don't really want to have unnecessary space in your photos. So what I did before I even brought it into this project was I took it through and I used Photoshop to crop it. Now, you don't have to use Photoshop to crop it. And thankfully, one of the most awesome things that I love about this video software that I'm using right now is the Wondershare, is that you can actually, let's say you forgot to crop a photo, right? Like, oh my gosh, I forgot to crop it. So let me go here. I'll show you. See this photo of this robot, okay, that the little kids were coloring. Let's say that I forgot to crop it. So I can actually go into this program here. And thankfully, let's see, can I actually do it? Am I crazy? I might be crazy. Let's see, where is it? Okay, well, there's a feature in this program. I don't know if I could do it right now, but there's a feature in this program where you can actually, if you forgot to crop something, you can pick the photo and then, oh, let's see, transitions media. No, I am in media. Okay, well, there's a section here where you can split, no, edit. Okay, see, maybe it's this one. Now I can't find it. You see what happens sometimes? Maybe it's because I'm screen sharing. But what happens is, okay, here it is. So you just have to click on it. Okay, so here it is. See how it says education for today? Now, let's say that I forgot to crop this photo. Okay, maybe a tiny little bit. The cool thing about this program is that if you go here, see where it says crop, choose a smaller section of your image to keep. So you can actually do some editing within the video software. Just, I wouldn't recommend it like all the time. This is just in case you see a photo where you're like, oh my God, like let's cut this section of this person off because it's not flattering, but their face looks beautiful. So what you do is, you know, there's a ratio, but you can choose and you can go to custom. And now you have the option of bringing this photo in a little bit tighter so that like, you know, there's not so much empty space, right? So you're cropping it a tiny little bit and then you hit okay. And now the picture's cropped. And that's the beautiful part of it. But you want to do this before you actually bring it into the project, because you already want to ensure that whatever photo you're using, you already looked at the color. If it's too dark, you don't want to use that photo unless you want to light it up, right? You don't want to create more work for yourself. But what I did even before I brought everything in was I edited the photos. I cropped them. I worked on the lighting. You know, I made sure that nobody had an ugly face. And then I meant that in the nicest way, but sometimes we make gestures that don't look too good. And so every photo that I have in here, like for example, I'll show you one where you can't even tap. Like this is John, and we had a lot of fun with this little girl here. But there's a photo where John was laying down on the floor, and I did not like the way his face looked. Okay, and I just didn't. I would never.
Thank you.
So this photo right here, see how John is here? I mean, there's nothing wrong with his face or anything, but I really wanted to focus on like the little kids, you know? So I said, okay, I really want to focus on the little kids because the little kids are cute and, you know, why not? So what I did was I went here. Oh, it keeps going back to that one because that's the one that I picked. So this, for example, I have to actually pick it in the line. So now it's here, see, and it's already cropped actually. So you see how John is like in the frame, right? So the original photo was kind of like this, right? But I wanted the focus to be more on the children. So I told the program, okay, let's crop John out. Not because there's anything wrong with him. I just want to focus on the children a little bit more, right? I want to make sure that the children are what's in the frame. And so I cropped it. And now the photo is cropped. When you actually see that section of the video, which I'll show you right now, it's right here. Let's see. Okay, when I actually show you that section of the video, John is not there. See? You see that? Like John's disappeared. The only thing you see is his hand.
Oh, bye, John.
It's okay.
You'll see me in another picture.
Yeah, you'll see him in other photos, like here.
There he is. That's cool.
You know, like this little girl was so engaging. She was so cute. She was so cute. So the thing is, when I first started this video and I brought in all of the photos, and it was like over 7 minutes long, because like I said, whenever you bring in photos, it tells you, oh, I'm gonna make it 5 seconds long. So I'm gonna do that now. I'll show you what I mean, okay? So here is a section right here. It says import media. You see this? And this is why it's important that you have all of your photos in a place where you can find them. So you can say, let me see, just a second. Cancel, let me cancel. I want to make sure that I have it someplace where I can actually import it and it's not going to affect my timeline. So you want to make sure that you have all of the photos and all of the media in one folder. Hey, Tom, you want to have them all in one folder because you want to make it easy on yourself. You don't want to have to go through your computer going, oh my God, where was that photo? Did I have that photo in that folder from last month? Or did I have it in the photo from 2 months ago? Or where's that photo? So before you begin any project, you got to gather all of your media into one folder so that when you go into import your media, hey, John, hey, Tom, you hit import media, right? It already remembered the folder that I was working in, but let's say it didn't remember. Let's say I wanted to access a different folder, see? So I have 2022. Here's the folder where it says Whittier. Here's the one where I was working on White Plan, Oakland. Here's the pictures of La Clase Mágica that I was working with. Here's the one from Santa Cruz. But I remembered, oh, I'm working on Whittier, so I open up the folder, right? And look at all of the photos that pop up that we're using already. So say I want to bring in this photo because I already know it's not in there because I already deleted it because it's not one that I'm going to use. So I click it. If you want to bring all of them, you say, I want to bring all of them. And you do your shift and then you go click all of them and then you drag it in. I don't want to use all of them because I already have all of them. So let me go back and say, I'm going to import my media and I'm going to use a photo that I don't have currently. And I believe the one I don't have currently is this one right now. So I'm going to say open, okay? And it brings it in and it brings it in. See how it's right here? Oh, actually that's a video. Oh, okay, just a second. I just brought in. I'm going to bring in a different one that I know I don't have in here, okay? So I'm going to import the media and I know for a fact that I deleted this one because I didn't want to use it in the project, okay? I'm picking it, I'm saying open. So when it brings it in at the very, very bottom. You see that? It's here now, right? Okay, it's a photo. Let's say I want to add it to my photo file. So I go, okay, it's in. So now this is part of my project, right? But remember I told you that whenever you bring in a photo, it says, I'm gonna show you the duration. It says 5 seconds, right? Okay, if you wanna keep your photos 5 seconds long, that's cool. There's no problem with that. However, you're gonna be showing a lot less photos because I think I have 81 files right now, okay, that I'm using. So if you go 81 times 5, that's like a really long video. It's gonna be over 6 minutes long. So I want to tell it, no, I want you to be 2 seconds long. And then you just do that. And now see how it shortened it? Okay. Every photo in this video project that I'm working on right now is 2 seconds long. 2 seconds long. Now, let's say that you did a batch. Unfortunately, in this video program that we're using, it's not going to let you do the duration in a batch. You actually have to do it one by one, okay? So let's say, okay, well, I already did that one, 2 seconds long. Let me import another media. Let's say now I did a section for Whittier. Let's say I want to include photos from, Santa Cruz. I don't know. I'm just saying, okay? Because I'm just showing you. So I'm going to bring in, let's say these three photos and see how I picked one by one, but I'm bringing them in a batch, okay? They go to the bottom right here. So I want to add them to my timeline. I deleted, they're already picked, but let's say you don't want to bring them in at the same time. Okay, I want to bring them at the same time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick them. What I'm doing is I'm, shifting control here, and then I'll drag them to my timeline because your timeline is what is important. Your timeline is what's telling the story right here. Okay, now each photo is 5 seconds long, right? Okay, this first one is going to be 2 seconds because I already told it I only want it to be 2 seconds. Now the next 3 are going to be 5 seconds long. You see that? It's too long, really. You don't need it to be 5 seconds long. I mean, I know I love my face too, but I don't need it to be 5 seconds long, right? So what I want to do in this video project, in this video software, not all video softwares are the same. I have to tell it one by one that I want it to be 2 seconds long. So what I'm doing is I'm right-clicking, right? And in your video project, it may be different. You might have to go somewhere else. but they're all very similar, okay? Don't worry about what video program we're using. They're all very similar. And also don't worry about like, oh, I messed up. It really is simple. You can fix that. There's an undo button. I'll show it to you. So here I'm going to say, okay, duration. I don't want it to be 5 seconds long. I want it to be 2 seconds long. And then what I do is, already says 2. I copy this whole thing, right? And then the next time I go to the next photo, I right click, I bring up duration, and I say, oh, oops, I already wanted it to be 2 seconds long. I just copied it, right? See that? And it's going to say duration. Okay, it's already 2 seconds long. Now, when it does that, what you'll notice is it creates these gaps. You see that? It creates these gaps because you shorten it. So what you do now is you say, well, okay, I don't want those gaps in my photos, right? Because I'm telling a story. So what you go ahead and you do is there's a little awesome thing that you're always going to right click. Remember, you're always going to right click, right? And it brings up ripple delete. But also there's this beautiful button on your computer. I'm sure you have it. And I'm sorry, I can't show you, but there's a button on the very top right-hand corner of our computer that says delete. If I press that button, it deletes that. Right? If I press that button, it deletes that. Now let's say, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't want to do that. So you go over here, you go to file and you say, wait, no, I lied. So I didn't want to do that, right? There's a little button right here. You see where my cursor is? It says undo, last selection. You hit undo. And if, okay, well, I made another mistake, undo. I made another mistake, undo, right? Your undo button is always going to be the best awesome thing ever because it means that you can go back. You made a mistake, oops, no problem, just go back, undo. And I can hit undo, look, right? I can hit undo until I undo, and then oops, the photos from Santa Cruz that I added, they're gone because that was a mistake. I didn't even want it. Does that make sense? It's very intuitive, right? Very intuitive. And here's the thing too, is that, okay, let's say I want to delete this one. I'll just throw it away. I can always bring it back. So let's say you have all of your photos that you want, right? All the photos that you're telling your story with. Now you want to put them together in the timeline. So I brought in these 3. I don't actually need these because they're not part of the project. So let's just throw them away. Okay. Very intuitive. Everything is very intuitive. So what you want to do is you want to go here. Okay. Like, so I already have all the photos that I wanted. I brought them in. I was working on this photo project yesterday. So I brought them in. Like I showed you, I told the program I want them to be 2 seconds long. Okay. And sometimes in some photo projects, I want them to be 2.5 seconds long, right? Unfortunately, this video program doesn't let you do that. It only lets them be, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds long. 3 seconds long is even too long for me. So I'm telling the story, right? Now, how do you want to begin your story? I could actually begin my story with this very first slide here. You see that very first slide right there? Right? I could actually begin it with that very first slide right there, right? Let's say, because it gives you the whole aspect of statewide office on the road, and we're in Whittier this time. I could begin it there, but I didn't want to be boring, right? I don't know. Sometimes I think to myself, do I want to be boring or do I not want to be boring? Like you have to take these things into consideration, really, like, right? So what I did was, okay, let's begin it with a pop. Like, how do you want to open your story? Well, I wanted to open the story with this photo because it's one thing that really stood out to me when we were in Whittier, right? Like they have all of these things all over their wall. And when you walk in, you feel this like, wow, you really are in a place where you're getting this beautiful education. You're sharing space with these beautiful people, right? And look at that. Look at this beautiful quote. Education is the passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to those who prepare today, right? Malcolm X. Okay, now, this is how I want to begin the story. So if I hit play, it goes on to this. You see that? Did you see that? It transitions, right? There's a transition right there, right? There's this little transition right there, okay? And now, what I do before I even go into transitions is I put all of the media that I have into a story. So I'm gonna play it for you, okay? I'm gonna play you this video. And so you can show, forget the transitions, just kind of like watch what I did here. right? This is telling you the story of what I saw when we walked into the space. There was all kinds of beautiful artwork on the wall.
Wow.
Like you get the sense that you're learning. This is
Wow.
Mara and John walking into the space. This is me going, I can't believe we're here, right? You're getting the sense of these are the people that work. And there's another transition there. You can see that there's another transition there because we went from being indoors and really feeling the space that Whittier works in to going outdoors. And now this is the place where we get to see the children, right, at work. So forget transitions for now. I'll tell you about transitions in a minute. But I just want you to see how I built the timeline here, okay? So think about it. You want to tell the story as it happens, right? See, here I put in a little video so that you can kind of see what was happening. And, you know, Mara had a really great, excellent time with these kids. And you're getting to see a sense of the outdoors. You're getting to see a sense of, you know, what they're doing outside. They're sharing space, right? Obviously, there's me and John again because, you know, we're running around doing this work. So, you know, you're getting a sense of what's happening, right? These kids are so beautiful. They're playing the spinning wheel. I cut John out. Here's John again. So, you know, now they're playing soccer. I wanted to put a video in so you get a sense of there's movement, right? There's movement in the video project. And I cut these. They're much longer. But you're telling a story, you know, here's a child playing by himself, but then his friends join them, right? There's more coloring that happened. And so there's little tiny, I kept the video clips at about 5 seconds long, right? And I'm interweaving them. And now we're going back indoors, right? So you have a sense of, okay, we were outdoors and there's another transition. We're going back inside. And again, you get a sense of, okay, something's happening, right? We're transitioning. You get more of the walls, you get more of what's happening inside. There's this really beautiful speech corner. Of course, I had to stand on top of my soap opera, but I couldn't put all my weight on it because I could have probably broken it. So, you know, there's a sense of we went back inside. There's John and Kathy. You're starting to see more of what's going on inside, right? Or the transformation cape. It was beautiful. So you're getting a sense of what Whittier is about, what their program's about. There's the fifth dimension, right? You're getting to watch these people be in action. They're showing us there's action even though it's photos and it's static, right? Like now you're seeing them online. You're seeing interacting hybrid mode. So then, you know, you're telling the story and now it's time for me to embed another video because there's a lot of photos. So now I want to show movement. So here's some movement, right? Here's some movement it's a video that I took that I made sure that I included in there. And then we go back to the photos to continue telling the story of what happened, right? And so the most important thing here is how are you telling the story? Like what do you want to convey as you're telling the story? Here they're making, you know, now you're watching the summer kickoff. I'm spinning the wheel. And here's the thing. In this photo, a lot of people could look at this photo and be like, oh, I don't want to use this photo. I mean, if it was me, I would probably crop myself because I would be like, I don't know that if I like this photo. It may be unflattering. I don't know. I like this photo. But, you know, it's your call. Now, one of the reasons why somebody might say, I don't want to use this photo is because if you look at the wheel, it's kind of blur, right? But that's the beautiful aspect of being an artist as you create these projects is that the blurring of the photo is actually showing you. Because look, I'm focused, right? But the wheel is blurred. So what that photo is showing you is that there's movement in the wheel. That's why it's blurred. So it's not a bad photo. It's actually a good photo. It's showing you movement, right? So I continued with it. There's some drums that we saw. I wanted to, you know, bring another aspect in and showing these people color. So I put in the video, even though technically speaking, right, that portion of the video was shown earlier. I wanted to include this. This is like where you consider like your B-roll, right? Oh, I still have videos that I want to use. Let's put them at the end because, you know, I want to include them, even though it's, you know, not, I'm not keeping with the timeline. But what happened here was I went outdoors and I caught more video. So technically speaking, it works, right? So I put in more video and now I'm getting to the in section here, right? I'm telling my story. And remember I told you, when I first brought it in, it was over 6 minutes long. By cutting every photo down to 2 seconds, I made it so that this video, including the tiny video clips, is no longer than 3 minutes. Okay, so now look, I'm getting to the end here, right? I'm telling the story. Now I'm bringing in photos of us together, right? More things that I saw at the wall. And the reason why I put this at the end is because I want to show like this beautiful wall of all of the universities that Whittier works with is part of the story. And I think it works at the end there because you're kind of seeing like, you know, here's this space in which Whittier's working, but then look at all the universities that they work with, right? There's UCSD, there's Berkeley, right? There's UCLA, there's all these wonderful other universities that work with, so they get a shout out, for example. So I'm getting to the end, right? There's another photo there, which look, think about how the video started. The video started with a really beautiful quote by Malcolm X, right? About education. And my last section of the video is going to be music is a world within itself and a language we'll understand. What a wonderful way to end the project, right? Another quote. And so here's the thing. Now I'm going to do another transition. See the transition? It's the same one as the beginning. And the final photo is the, actually, that is not the one that it's supposed to be there. Oh, great. Mistake. Great learning. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, no, actually, that's a mistake. I don't want that there. I'm going to delete that. And you, again, you don't have to hit right click. You can just hit the delete button, right? I don't want that photo. Mistake on my part. So what I do is the actual template that ends here is this one. Now, you saw that? I brought it in, right? I brought it in. It's going to be 5 seconds long, right? I don't want it to be 5 seconds long, right? This is the end. This is the last thing you're going to see as the video ends. I don't want it to be 5 seconds long. So I'm going to say duration. I'm right clicking so I can do that. I'm going to say I only want it to be 2 seconds long, right? Now it's 2 seconds long. And here's the cool part is whenever you want to zoom into something, you hit shift and you hit the plus button, right? Shift plus, no, lies. Control and the plus button brings you into the timeline. Like you zoom into the timeline. And if you see that, there's a space right here, which I wouldn't have been able to see if I wasn't so close to the timeline. There's a space right here, right? I don't want that space there. So what I do is I click that space and I hit delete and it deletes it for you, right? Now, this is the end right here. So now let's talk about transitions. So if you look up here, everything you need is here. You see where it says media, that's the media that you brought in. Stock media, that's media that the program has that you can use. You have audio, which I haven't talked about yet, but we'll talk about it next. Then you have titles. We can talk about that too. But I wanted to do transitions, okay? So I use this program a lot, and I kind of know how Mara likes videos be done. So I have my favorite transitions, but the coolest part about this is that you have transitions, you have all sorts of transitions. You have basic transitions, you have ripple and dissolves, you have work transitions. You can put whatever transition you want here because at the end of the day, it's your video. Let's say I want to add this one. You notice that I just dragged it down, right? And look at the cool transition this is going to be. So now let's say the video is ending, transition, ends. Okay, now I know for a fact that Mara's not gonna like that ending transition. I know this. So you know, we are very standard in our transitions in the work that we do with UC Links. I also know that with Whittier, I get away with using other fun transitions because they're a fun program and they're, you know, I just know that like with the work that I've done with Mara that I can use, there's certain transitions that I can use. Now, the transition that I used here, I already have it in my favorites. And my favorite one, the one that I'm using here is called Travel Fun, which is the same one that I used at the opening, okay? And this transition does this, okay? It transitions in a way where it creates movement. You see that? And it's actually called Travel Fun, transition 1. Now, this transition, when you bring it in, comes in at 2 seconds. Again, I'm gonna hit right click and it shows you duration, right? And it's 2 seconds long. I actually don't want it to be 2 seconds. I want my transition to be a second. So I'm gonna say 1 second and it shortens it, right? And now when you do that transition, look how much faster it's going to be. You see that? And then it ends, okay? It kind of ends, right? So let me go back to the beginning here and I'll show you. Okay, so what you want to do when you start your video projects is you want to have all of your media together. Now, when I brought in all this media, it wasn't organized the way that it's organized the way I showed it to you. I actually had to go and move stuff around, right? Like the stuff that's indoors from the stuff that's outdoors, from going back indoors. Like I organized it that way, one by one, right? And look, this is the coolest part about this is like, let's say, oh my God, I actually don't want this photo here, right? I actually want this photo like somewhere else. I can bring it out and say, I want to switch this one with this one. Well, they're all 2 seconds long, right? So I could do that, okay? So this top section here is always our place to say, well, I don't want that photo there after all. Okay, I don't want that photo there after all. I didn't want to do that. So what do? I hit undo, right? You're gonna hit undo until it goes back to how it was, right? And there it is. You hit undo. But this top section here is for you to include, I don't know, okay, let's say we put it together already. You have your timeline the way that you want it, right? Don't even worry about the transitions yet, okay? Now, there's a section here in this video that I wanted to put, a, what would you call it? A title. I wanted to put a title, and I believe that section was, where did I want to put a title? Let me see, maybe it was when John was playing with the real kids. I don't remember where I wanted to put a title. I keep forgetting where this title wanted to go, but let's say here, okay, we're here, and I wanted to put a title, and I don't remember what the title was that I wanted to put, because I don't really remember what it was that I wanted to say. But the coolest part about this is that you get to be in charge, right? So look, you go to titles, okay? And you have all, okay, let's say there was a section in which the children are talking and you can't really hear what they're saying, okay? And so what you do is you say, okay, well, I can't really, okay, let's say here. Oh no, I know where it was. I know where I wanted to put the title. I'll bring you there actually. So I wanted to put the title in the Cape of Transformation. Okay, so we find that section in our timeline. Okay, here's the Cape of Transformation, right? Here's the Cape of, okay, there's the Cape of Transformation, but you have no idea what's going on. You just see crazy Carla wearing her cape, right? Like she's just wearing her cape. But I believe that Whittier called this the Cape of Transformation, right? So if you see that, you see me wearing the cape, then you see the cape hanging, and then you see me wearing the cape again, because I enjoyed wearing the cape. So what I wanted to do here is I wanted everybody to know what was going on with this cape, right? So I wanted to say, okay, let's put a title here. So you get to pick a whole bunch of stuff here. Like these are just recommended, right? I don't want what they're recommended. I want something basic, right? So I want something that I'm not gonna have to spend all my time trying to figure out how it works. I want something that's artistic, maybe. Here you have basic, word art, you have titles, right? You have openers, you have lower thirds, you have subtitles. Subtitles are very important for sometimes you can't hear what the people are saying. You want to clarify it. You use a subtitle to kind of put in what they're saying, and I'll show you in a second. But let's say I want to do a basic one, right? Because I just want to say Cape of Transformation. So you look for one that's pretty basic. See this one, it says, I'm just going to pick this one, Title 41. It's a basic one, right? You hit here and it downloads it for you. So now I bring it. Now notice that I'm not bringing it to the timeline that I'm working on. I'm bringing it above, okay? Because if you bring it, let me hit undo here and I'll show you what happens. If I bring it here, right, it's gonna mess up my timeline. You see that? Like, oops, my timeline's messed up. I didn't want to do that. So you just hit undo. Your undo button is gonna be your best friend in everything you do. It's your best friend. So now you bring this title and you say, you're gonna bring it right over where you want it. And I'm also going to hit, see there's a little heart right here. I'm gonna hit the heart because I want the program to remember that I really like this title. So I never have to look at it. I don't have to go finding it. I could always just go up here and it'll say favorites, see? And now it's in my favorites. And I don't ever have to go look for it again because it's my favorites. So now we're here. So, okay, here's the title. What do we do with this title? I'm gonna double click on it, right? And what it does by double clicking it is it brings it up here. And now you have the choice to change. See how it says lorem ipsum? So it's just a placeholder, right? Now, what do I want to say? I wanted to say cape of transformation, okay? You see that? That's what I wanted to say, right? And I could say, am I happy with the way that this font looks? No, not really happy. I'm not really happy with that font. I want the font to be more fun. I want it to be, you know, a little bit more bold. So you get to pick. How do you want it to look? Look, do I want it to look like a Transformers? Do I want it to look like this? You get to pick how you want it to look, but I'll tell you what, this is a really good one. The permanent marker, regular, right? It's a pretty good one because it's bold and it's like you could really see it. I don't have to like squint to look at it. And that's part of telling the story, is making it easy for your viewers to not have to squint or put on their glasses to look at things, right? So look, I put in cape of transformation. Now, do I want this cape of transformation to be white, or do I want it to be yellow? Do I want it to be pink? Do I want it to stand out? Look at the colors. You have the color blue and the color green. So do I want it to be red, right? Do I want it to be like what color? Like this is where you get to be the artist. You're the artiste in all of this. Do I want it to be purple? Like, you know, I mean, what color do you want it to be? I think that for what I'm doing, I want it to be pink because it really stands out, right? So you say, okay, I really like it. And then you also get to pick. Do you want it to be centered to the right? Do you want it to be centered to the middle? Do you want it to be centered to the, where do you want it centered? It doesn't matter. It's up to you, right? Do you want it to be italic? Like, it's up to you. Do you want it to be bold? Do you want it not to be bold? Okay. So what you do is I'm thinking to myself, you know, I really like the way it looks, but I don't want it to be so big. So what you do is you actually go here. You can see what I'm going to do is it's going to allow you to transform it so that it becomes smaller, right? It's way smaller now. And now my cape of transformation is going to be way smaller. What I could actually do here is say, I don't really want it to be horizontal. I want it to be, you can actually rotate it. See how it gives you the position, the scale. And then you can say rotate, and you can rotate it around so that maybe when I let's see, I want it to be 90 degrees. Can I make it be 90? Let's be 90. Okay. So now it's 90 degrees. So maybe when this photo comes up, it's going to look like this, cape of transformation, right? And then say, okay, I actually really like it there. I really like it there. So now we're going to exit this. Okay, we're done with this. We're done with the titles. And then what we want to do is, look, this is how it's going to look, right? Oh, actually, I'm in the wrong spot because I want it to begin here. So I'm going to slide it over. Just going to slide it over a tiny bit, right? And now look, when I play this, now okay, there it is. Now when I bring it in, right, look, and actually, I'm actually wanted to start here. Now when I bring it in, cape of transformation starts. So now people know what that cape means, right? Because before you wouldn't have known what it meant. It was just me wearing some crazy cape, right? But now it's the cape of transformation, and your viewers know that there's something else happening with this photo. It isn't just crazy Carla wearing a cape. It's actually something that the fifth dimension uses for their students, for the co-creators, their, you know, the wonderful youth that they work with, to feel like they're part of something. And also, let's say I don't want it to be that long. I could just drag it here and see how at the bottom there it says duration. It's telling you how long it's gonna last. You can do the same thing with the photos. You don't have to right click. You can just go here and tell it, I want it to be, let's say I don't want it to be 5 seconds long. I want it to be 4 seconds long, okay? And I'm gonna slide it over a tiny bit. And this is the beautiful part of this video, because it's such a fun video project. You could put it wherever you want. And now when I slide it over, it's gonna look like that. And it's not gonna be as long as before, right? And then it fades out. So these are little things that you could do to tell your story. You don't have to, but they're just little fun things that you could do. Now let's go back. Okay, let's say we did that. I added a title. I showed you how to add a title. Okay, so now let's say, okay, well, now I have my timeline ready. Now I want to do a transition, right? So you go see where it says transition right there, right? And you have different transitions. Here are the ones that I use for all of the projects that I do with Mara. And it's with us, we keep it very simple, right? We fade to black, we fade to white, especially if it's a video where we're telling a story where somebody's actually talking. We don't want the transitions to kind of hinder the storytelling, right? With this video project and with all the video projects of you see links on the road, I've used this transition before because this transition is called travel, and it gives you that sense of, oh, look, I'm starting here and now we're about to transition to tell the real story, like the storyline begins, right? So it opens with movement. You want to create movement in your story so that it's not static. Is that the right word? When something's not moving, right? So it's not static. You want it to have movement. You want it to tell a story with movement, right? And one thing you notice is that I don't have audio in any of these videos. There's no audio. I don't know if you noticed that, but even in the
Yeah.
videos that we're moving, there is no audio. Okay. So
I
now
was
you
going to
kind of
ask
want to,
about that.
okay. So we're transitioning to that, right? So once you put together your storyline, then you worry about the transitions, right? So I put together all of the photos. I clipped them to be 2 seconds long. Now the photos are in the sections that I want them to be. Now you start thinking about transitions. So how do you want to begin that? Remember I told you I didn't want it to begin. If I started it with this, I was like, okay, well, it's a start, but it's kind of a boring start. I wanted to start with something else, right? And then I wanted to transition to this. I know that I use that transition to begin these videos. It's a given. But you can use any transition, okay? And where do you put transitions? You ask yourself, where do you put transitions? For me, the way that I transition into things is like, look, here the next transition goes from we're indoors, right? And then you transition to outdoors, okay? And now, why did I use this transition? Because it was there, because it's fun, because this video that I'm creating for Whittier is very fun. It's very colorful. There's a lot of movement in this video. Whittier just is a place where you can go. And one of the things that we did when we were at Whittier is, and I didn't have time to record it because, I didn't feel it appropriate to record it. Before we even started this, we went outdoors, and what Whittier did was that we did a little, John helped me out. It was that breathing technique. I forgot what they called it, but we started with a breathing technique, right? And it was to get us to be relaxed. And so Whittier spent 5 minutes having us be relaxed. And so I put a transition here because you're moving from indoors to outdoors. And this transition could be anything. I could tell it, I don't want that. So I can right click it and say delete, right? And now there's no transition there. And it immediately goes from outdoors to indoors, but it doesn't, or from indoors to outdoors, but it doesn't have that same sense of, okay, I'm going somewhere else, right? You notice that? It's not. You notice that you switched, but it's not, there's not fun. There's no signaling that you're going from indoors to outdoors. You just go to outdoors. So what you want to do here is you want to say, okay, well, I want to create a transition so that my viewer sees that we're switching, right? So I can go back to basic. I can use a basic one, or I can go to a work one, right? Okay, cool. Hey, look, I really kind of like this one. I don't know. I'm just messing around, right? And I bring it down, and now look what happens, okay? So now you're going from outdoors to indoors, or the other way around, and there's another transition. You see that? You want to tell your viewer, we're moving from one place to another. And I also don't like my transitions to be 2 seconds long, so I would want it to say duration. I want it to be 1 second long because the transition will happen faster, right? And you're telling the storyline. So you're saying, okay, here we go. Now look at it, right? It goes outdoors or indoors, outdoors. There's slight movement there, okay? Now, I don't want to use this transition in my project, but you can use whatever transition you want. I'm using this transition here, the plane shape one, because I think it tells the story better. And because, well, Whittier is fun like that. Not that any of the other programs are fun. I say that because Whittier is just, they have a magician, a wizard, Okay, so let's say the wizard's putting this video together. The wizard wants it to be fun, right? There you go, right? So there's a transition there. And there's also a transition. No, this is all outdoor, 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 right? There's also a transition here because we're going back inside. And I use the same, did you notice that the transition's the same transition as the one before? Because you want to keep it uniform. Okay, you don't want to throw your viewer off by using all sorts of transitions. So I have done that before, but that's just because I'm crazy and I like to experiment. But it's your project. You do what you feel is best for you. I just like to keep transitions, you know, congruent. So here's the same transition. We're going from indoors to outside to inside, right? There's a transition there. I'm telling the story. And then here we go back to another transition because we're ending. So there's another, notice how this forced transition. So there's another transition here, right? And it's the same transition that I used at the beginning because now we're ending, all right? So now, Cheryl, there's no audio in this whatsoever, is there? At all. There's no audio in it. Okay, so I'm going to show you why. So when I bring in, okay, let's see, let's go back to media. Now, let's say I'm bringing in a video. Remember I told you that you're going to be able to tell the difference between a photo and a video by the corner right here. You see that? There's the difference between a photo is this. This is a photo. You have the little square with like the little mountains. That's a photo. The one up here is a square with, it looks like a video, right? You could tell that there's a video. Okay, let me bring it in. I'm literally just going to drag it. Okay, let's say it wasn't, let's say I didn't have it in, right? I would have to go and into, I would say, okay, that video wasn't in, so I would have to import the media. The media is in the folder that I'm using here, Whittier, right? I would pick the video. Let's say the video that I'm using, let me see. There's another video that I have in here that I'm not currently using. Oh, it's this one. All right, I'm importing it, so I'm bringing it in. Let's say, okay, so I brought it in, okay? So I want to use this video that I told you guys about. Let me see. Let me put it here, okay? And it'll say that the resolution of the frame rate of this media does not match the settings of this project. If you want to change the project setting to match this media, I'm going to say, no, I want to keep the project settings, okay? This is those little things that you have to take into consideration, but I just want to keep the settings that I had before. So I brought in this video. Now look at this video. This video has audio. Okay, you hear the audio, you hear the children in the background, right? You hear them making noise. The problem with the audio that sometimes comes with the video is that it's not as good quality as the audio that I took with my microphone. And the other thing is that they may be playing music in the background that's copyrighted and that you can't use, because if you put it on YouTube, they'll be like, oh, you know what? No, you can't use that because it's copyright music. So it's very easy to change that. So here's a video that has an audio file, right? Again, right click is always going to be your friend, always. You right click and it brings you to this section. See where it says detach audio? You detach the audio, okay? Now, these are going to be separate pieces now, right? They're separate pieces. Let's say do my undo button, which is your best friend, undo, right? Before that, it wasn't a separate piece. Well, actually, let me bring it back. Okay, see here, it's not a separate piece. It moves together, right? It moves together. So you're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to be editing both the audio and the video. But because I detached it, right click, detach audio, it becomes two separate pieces, right? So what I want to do whenever I'm working with this, unless it's audio that I really want to use, I throw away this audio. I go, oops, okay, well, bye. Right? Delete. It's been deleted. I don't want to use the audio. Now, we're thinking about what audio do I want to use here? Okay. Now, do I want to what kind of music do I want to bring into it? Do you want to use a song that is copyrighted? Well, that's not gonna work because there's gonna be an issue with that. So what you want to do is, and I'll show you how to do it. But you go, YouTube has lots of really cool stuff. Okay. Let me stop sharing here. I'll bring you to YouTube. Let me do let me bring you to YouTube here. And let's see. Let me bring you to YouTube. I'll show you how to, hold on just a second. Okay, so I'm gonna be in YouTube and I'm gonna share with you my screen again. Actually, hold on just a second. Give me a second. What I'm gonna do is I need to plug my computer in, okay? Because otherwise I'm gonna die. Talk amongst yourselves, I'll be back.
I was just wondering if this could also be voiceovers. Like she's talking about bringing in music, but it could
Yes.
also be narrative.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes it could, yes it could.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just like embed both music and at the same time like audio recording.
Right, because that might have worked really well with the transition cape, you know, just to have a little tiny description of what it was and how the kids wore them or something like that. Could be really cool. All of these
Right.
visuals make me just really respect Fifth Dimension. They're just an amazing group of people.
Oh, yeah.
All the things that all the richness of that environment.
Yeah,
It's really, really inspiring to see these images.
and the stamina, they've been going for so many years.
Right. Yeah, and the multi-layers, like sort of like activities and spaces that they have at the space, you know, like the outdoor, the indoor, the hybrid now, is very fascinating. The involvement and the commitment they have and the engagement they have with the community.
Yeah.
It seems like they have turned every inch of their environment into a learning opportunity. It's really extraordinary. It's so impressive.
It is.
They really have. I really, really love going to Whittier. This is probably one of my favorite things that we have done, and I was so impressed with everything that they do. And Cheryl, yes, it could also be a voiceover, so it doesn't have to be music, right? It could be a voiceover. I mean, anything that you want it to be here. Like, you know, you are the artist always. Now think about this. You know, the thing about video is that when I first started doing videos, I didn't want to do them. I mean, I had I've been a photographer and a videographer for 15 years. And when I first started doing this, I had my team and I wanted everyone else to learn how to do video. I didn't want to have to do it, but no one of my team wanted to. So guess what? I meant that I had to do it, right? And I'm grateful that I did because I really did. I taught myself how to do Adobe Premiere. Like, you know, I just sat down and was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm making it work. And little by little, I figured out how to do it. And it's not hard. It's just intensive when it comes to time, right? It's just, you really have to give yourself over to it. But it's easier when you're doing it on your phone too. But in this like what I was showing you here is like, look, I'll go to share screen and I'll bring you to YouTube. So I'll show you here. So let's say I'm not doing a voiceover, but you could do a voiceover, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search, right? I'm going to say free, you can see already, free music, no copyright, right? And I always look for cumbia because I just worked on a video that had some cumbia on it. So look, these are not copyrighted, right? I've used this one before. I don't know if you could hear it, but I've used this one before.
Oh, look at that.
Right. So I like this one a lot. So it's up to you. Like what kind of you know, what kind of atmosphere do you want to portray in your music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the most awesome thing about this is that you don't have to pay for any of this, which is the most wonderful aspect of it. And I'll show you. So what I'll do is, look, you copy the link, you go control copy, right? And there's this really cool website. Okay, I'm gonna exit YouTube. I'm gonna bring you home. Okay, you can still see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's this program called MP3 right there. Okay, you go to free YouTube to MP3 converter and you tell it, oh, I want to download this cool song because I really want to use this song in my video. And then you just paste the link, right? And then it says download MP3 and you hit that and you download it, okay? And it goes into your download folder. So you're not paying for it and it's no copyright music. So you're not gonna get dinged. YouTube's not gonna ding you. No matter where you post your video, it's not gonna ding you because it's free. It's no copyright music, okay? So let's say I downloaded it already, Okay, so let me show you. Let me go back to that sharing screen that I was showing you. How do I stop share that one? Okay, so now let me bring you back to the program. Okay, let's say I downloaded that music. Okay, so I downloaded that music already. Now I'm gonna go to import media. Import media is your friend, right? And I already know that I have a music file. Remember how I told you you always have to have everything you're working in a folder? Well, in Santa Cruz, I have a really cool cumbia song that I'm gonna import. Okay, now did it import? Yeah, I hope it imported. Okay, let's see. And whenever it imports it, it brings it down to the bottom. Okay, you see it there? Okay, so now we're working with audio. So we're gonna go, let's put it in here. Okay, now you have audio, right? So look, now when I hit play, wait, I'm at the very end of this. So now when you hit play, it's gonna be here. Now, watch, now it's gonna play, right? And it's building up to what I want it to be, blah, blah, blah. Like here we are with this audio, here we go. Okay, now the cool part begins. So let's say, I really like this song, right? Like I really, really, really like this song, but I don't like the intro so much. So there's this really cool place where it said, there's scissors. You see these scissors right here?
Ah,
The scissors lets you split stuff, right? I just pressed on it and already split it because I'm working here. So I go, I don't want that, delete. Now I move it over, okay? And now the music is gonna begin in the interesting section, not the not interesting section, see?
what do you mean by you split it? I don't understand that.
Let me go back, okay? So undo, okay. Okay, so here is the audio file. See
Cumbia,
the audio
yeah.
file, the cumbia audio file, right? Now, Cheryl, listen, okay? Remember how it started like really boring, building up, right?
Okay.
Oh, I think it makes sense because we're not listening to the audio.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You can't hear my audio, right?
No,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
okay.
if you can reshare your screen.
Oh, I
and-
see.
and
Oh,
check.
you're clipping it right there. I see. Oh, you're cutting it
Yeah.
out. I get it now. Okay.
Yeah. So see here, right here. Yeah, you can't hear my audio. I'm so sorry. I have no idea how to share audio.
That's okay. It's okay.
Okay. So look, sure, you see these scissors right here?
Yeah.
It says split. Well,
Mhm.
the same scissors are right there.
Okay.
See that? So
Uh-huh.
what I do is I hit those scissors. You see that?
Yeah.
And you see how it created a split right there?
Uh-huh.
Like you see
Oh,
how
I
big it's
see.
highlighted?
Okay, so you're cutting that out.
Yes, I'm cutting
Okay,
it
got
out.
it.
So look,
Okay,
here's the boring part that I didn't want to use, right?
got
And
it.
so I right click and you're gonna go delete, or you just hit the
Got
delete
it.
button, right? Now I cut out the boring part, but I want my music to start here at the beginning of it, right? So now that boring part of the song that I didn't want is gone,
I got
right?
it.
And now when I play it, it'll play back the music. You can't hear my music apparently, okay?
Yeah,
I
but
don't-
you can see that the music's there.
But you
Yeah.
can see that the music's
Yeah.
there, right? Okay, now let's say that we get to this. Okay, let's say this is the music that I'm using, blah, blah, blah. We get to the section where, we go from inside to outside, right? And I don't want to use that music anymore. I want to change this. I want everybody to know that we're changing the music here, right? So I go again to the scissors. See how there's scissors there, right? I just click on the scissors and I want to say, this is what's picked, right? Because it's highlighted. You see how it's highlighted? I don't want that. I want different music, right? And what you do is, okay, I want to bring in another song here. Go
Ah,
back to import media. And now I know for a fact that I have another, let's see, who else was I working with? I know that for White Plan Oakland, I used another song, right? So I'm gonna say, I want to use this other song here. And now it's in here. So now I want to bring in this other one here and I'm gonna put it here, right? So now that
Got it.
there's two different songs happening,
uh-huh.
right? But you don't do transitions here. But what you do is you kind of see that there's these, I don't know how to call these things, but when you go up here, you see these little there's the little handles, right? For example, like, and I
Mhm.
can drag those little handles one
Uh-huh.
way. I can drag these little handles this way, so that when the audio gets here, when it gets to this section, it's gonna fade, right? And then it's gonna transition into the next audio, and it's gonna fade, and then it's gonna go into like full volume, so that you do create a artificial transition there, so that it
Yeah.
doesn't just go from one audio to the next, but there's
Yeah,
a
that's good.
lag, okay, right? So there's a lag. So,
Right.
but I don't want the audio. Let's delete it, right? But there's a lag there. Now, the thing is though, like for example, you were talking about voiceovers, right? And for example, Mara, John, and I, what we do is we record separate audio so that our quality of audio is better. So let's say, for example, before you bring in the song that you want to play, you want to bring in the other audio. You want to do your voiceovers before you bring in the music that's kind of going to be the background, okay? And the thing too is that this song, and John, I don't know how to share the audio
So
here.
when you click share screen,
Mhm.
before you click sharing, when you select what you want to share,
Oh,
there's
share
a
sound.
small checkbox.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so like here you go, Cheryl. Look, I'm sure you can hear it now. Can you hear it?
Now we can hear it. Yeah.
Okay, right? All right, so there's that. But you hear how loud it sounds? It's loud, right? Right? So look, I'm gonna drag this and I'm gonna put it down here because this is gonna be the music that's gonna play throughout the whole song, the whole video. But let's say that there was an audio clip that I wanted to use here, okay? I'm gonna go to import media. I'm gonna bring in somebody else talking here. Like this is an audio that I used for something else, right? So I'm gonna bring this in, and I'm gonna say, now you're gonna hear both audios, and you're gonna hear how loud one of them is, right?
So what did you like or dislike
You
about?
hear Mara speaking, but this bottom song is too overpowering. You hear that?
Mhm,
You can't
mhm.
really hear what is being said, right? So you have two audio tracks now. Now, what I'm gonna do with this bottom one is I'm gonna tell it, oh, you're too loud. So remember, right click is always your friend. You're too loud, right? And there's a thing that says adjust audio. So what you want to do is I'm going to say, okay, I know that it's a song that I downloaded. I don't have to do any of this stuff. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the volume of it down. I'm going to say to 12, right? You say, okay, let's see how it sounds there, right? And the top audio, then now we're going to listen to them together, right?
So what did you like or dislike about this process?
The bottom audio is very low, right? And you're starting to hear the voices on the top a little bit more, like, but it's still not fully there. So what I want to do is I want to go to this top audio, and I want to right click and say, let's adjust the audio on that, because I want to, first of all, I want it to be louder. So let's bring it up to 6. Let's see what it does there, right? I want it to remove the background noise, because there's a lot of background noise that I don't want to hear. And I want it to be in the midsection, right? So that it's not too strong, but it's not weak. So you're customizing the sound now, right? And you say, okay, so now let's go back to re-listen to that. How does it sound?
So what did you like or dislike about this process?
It's a little bit more balanced, right? But for the way that I do this project, I'm gonna say, it's almost there, but it's not quite there. So let's just bring it all the way up to 12, because that's the max that you can go, right? And I'm gonna, how does it sound now? Does it sound better?
So what did you like or dislike about
Now
this
the
process?
voices are more fuller, they're a little bit more richer. The bottom sound is not overbearing, but I still want to adjust it a little bit more. I'm gonna bring that music down between 12 and 18, and let's see what it sounds like now, right? Let's see what it sounds like now.
So what did you like or dislike about this process?
Music is there. It's giving the storyline, movement, because it's the cumbia. But now you're actually hearing Mara speak, right?
One dislike is that how it was handled in class.
Now you're hearing the voices of the people who are telling the story, right? And so it's not as hard as it seems. It's just really playing with the program. Like, how do you want to tell the story? Like, how do you want to convey what's happening? So it's a story that you're telling with pictures, with video, and with sound, right? And it can be anything that you want to use. Like, it's up to you, really. And I know that it seems kind of overwhelming, but it isn't. It really is just playing with whatever video program you have access to. And the reason why I like this particular video program is because it does make it easy for you to work with the audio files, whereas other programs don't. Other programs make it a little bit harder. I don't know about iMovie because I have minimal experience with them, but this is just a little bit, you know, a little bit to show you like what can be done with this program, and a little bit to show you how you build that storyline, right? How do you want to tell your storyline? Like, you're the wizard here. You're the person that's telling that story, right? And for the way that I do things, I wouldn't bring in this bottom music, right? Like the cumbia, right? I wouldn't bring that in until the end, because what I want to do is I want to concentrate, I could say, on these video clips that are telling the story. Like I want to begin the story. I want to say, okay, well, here, you know, let's say I'm going to use this audio, but I'm going to use this audio when, and I'm just sliding it over, right? Because it's, okay, let me see if I can shift, no, control. So if you use control plus your plus sign, it allows you to zoom into your timeline. If you use control with the negative sign, it allows you to back out, right? You can have access to that. So what I want to do here is that I want to use this video, but this audio doesn't really come into play until, let's say, we're with the undergraduates, right? So look, I want to bring in that video to the timeline where we're actually going to go and meet, like, you get to see the undergraduates for the first time, right? So let's say there's the undergraduates. So that's where I would probably want to include that audio, because Mara's talking to the undergraduates, right?
So what did you like or dislike about this process?
One dislike
So you're
is
kind
that
of
how it
hearing
was
now
handled in
the voices
class.
of the undergraduates, even though what you're watching on the screen is the photos of them working, right? Now you're adding to the story by actually hearing their voices. You see that? Okay, you say, and you can say,
So what did you like or dislike about this process?
One dislike is
okay,
that
and
how
let's say,
it was
okay, that's
handled
as
in
much as I
class.
want. So again, Cheryl, now we want to say, oh, I want to use the scissors. Let's, you know, I don't want to use any, I don't want to use that section that where Mara was talking. So let's just delete it. And we're going to begin it here, right? And so you get to play with what you wanted your story to say, right?
We divided it into
How
sections. So
much
like
do you,
we
like,
have
what do you want to
handled lower
include? And then you get to clip the audio as much as you want. And then once you have your audios clipped and you have them where you want them in your timeline, then you bring in that second audio that's going to be the background, that's going to be along for the ride, right? But you want to concentrate, like, if you want to do a voiceover here, you want to say, you know, and depending on what you want to say with your voiceover, you want to record it and you want to say, you know, the undergraduates were able to work with one another, and the children, the youth, and you tell your voiceover. But your voiceover is going to be driving the storyline, and you want to include another audio file that's going to be in the background, so that wherever there is no sound, right? Now, like let's say I split. Okay, let's say I want to include Mara over here, wherever her picture's at, right? And I want to include the undergraduates here, right? There's going to be no sound between these two clips, right? There's sound here. You hear that? There's sound there.
Is
And then
that
it
how
stops.
it was
There's
handled
no
in
audio.
class?
So what I want to do is, in order to mitigate that, is I want to bring in that second audio. Once you have all of your audio clips in, then you bring in that second audio, so that wherever there is no sound, there's going to be some sounds, right? there's gonna be some sound, right? And again, you're gonna want to bring the volume of it down so that it's not overpowering everything else. So you bring it down. So, and then the other thing that you do is, for example, here, right? I want to say, okay, well, here we have some voices, and I don't want this second thing overpowering this top one. So I'm going to cut here, then I'm going to cut here, okay? Then I'm going to cut here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that one so that when it goes from one audio, right? And then it goes directly to the audio of the question being asked, right? And
So
then
what did you like
or instead of doing that, what we'll do is I cut it so I can actually bring the volume of it lower here so that the music isn't entirely gone, but it's just not interfering with the storyline. So look, so now you transition from, you know, a little bit louder music. It's still in the background.
So what did you like or dislike about this process?
One dislike is that how
And then
it
it
was
comes back.
handled in
You
class.
hear that? So that here in this portion, the music's still there, and you can kind of see. You can see that the volume of that clip is lower. If you look at the lines right here, this line is higher, this line is lower, and it's telling you that the audio here is higher than the audio here, than the audio here. But you want to make sure that this is the audio, the top audio, the one is the highlighted because it's the voices of the undergraduates talking. And it's going into a lot more detail, but it's kind of like an overview of kind of how you build on the audio, right? And yes, it is time consuming. Yes, you spend a lot of time doing this stuff, but at the end of the day, you end up with a video that is so cool, so cool. And I'll show you. Let me actually let me show you what I did. Let me delete that. Let me delete this. Let me show you. And then whenever you're working on this stuff, is remember, you know, whatever changes you're doing, you want to make sure that you go and you do this, okay? Because this is the important part. If you don't do this, if your computer stops working, it's gonna mess up your projects. You want to save your projects, right? Now my project is saved, right? Now, no matter what happens and my computer crashes, like up to this point, the project is saved, right? So now let me show you what I did. Let me go back and let me share something with you, but let me see. Okay, hold on just a second. All right, now it's gonna say that my thing is closed. So let me share with you something here that I did. Okay, share. And I'll show you this one. I believe it's this one. Okay, and let me share it with you again. Here you go. Okay, and this is the one that I did for Santa Cruz, okay? And it's the same thing, you'll see. Okay, this is what, and listen to the audio. Am I still sharing my audio?
Yeah.
Okay, you can hear the music, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now watch.
Yes.
Now watch what I did, okay?
I'm gonna start with the line. Voy a empezar con el equipo 1 y Vivian va a empezar con la número 2. Le vamos a decir la misma oración y su trabajo, o el main objective, es que Derek diga la oración correcta que yo le dije a Alexis. Hay que empezar.
Y nada más lo vamos a decir una vez. ¿Lo quieres en inglés o español? Ok, recuerda de decir gracias al final de tu entrevista.
Recuerda decir gracias al final de tu entrevista.
Recuerda decir gracias después de tu entrevista.
Me gustan tus estrellas.
No la pegué.
¿Cómo te interesaste en origami?
Pues me gustan las películas japonesas.
But notice, Crystal,
O sea, Ángela, un poquito más cerca a la cámara. ¿Es más grande?
Sí.
Hi, my name is Angela. I'm a student in B40 Middle School. Thank you for letting me interview you. What has been your experience as an immigrant?
Es muy difícil. Si no tienes papeles, eres una persona indocumentada, la vida es mucho más difícil, especialmente cuando se trata para trabajar.
With Amy, we recorded our interview. We were just watching it, and I was like, "Can you hear yourself? Can you hear me?" I played with the volume of my laptop. And I was like, "Can you hear it now?"
When we sat down for the camera interview, I asked if she wanted me to interview her or her interview me. And she said she still wanted to interview me, so we went with that. And she's really good at like follow-up questions.
And that was a short video that I worked for UC Santa Cruz. We're still waiting on Leslie to give us the okay to post it. But there you see examples of everything that I showed you, right? Like, you know, you see the transitions. It's the same transition that I used in the one that I was showing you at the beginning. I didn't want to be boring, so I started with, you know, a picture of the beach as we were traveling, right? I opened with our faces as we were on our way there. You know, you see a short video. And now the reason why in this project you don't see more video clips is because Leslie and Santa Cruz is one of the more reserved ones that, you know, we have to be very respectful what we can show, what we can't show, which is probably the reason why, you know, in some of the photos you see that there's hearts over the youth's faces. Let me see, I think this one and this one right there, you know, there's a heart over the child's face because, you know, we don't have the right to show their faces, right? And then also here in this project, you begin to hear the voices of the undergraduates before you even see the undergraduates, because they're telling you the story, they're telling you what we're going to be doing, right? And so you're kind of seeing, and then here you see that title that I told you about, right? That title that that I showed you, that this title is at the very top here. There's the title here, right? And you see that title start to fade into it. It's a dinámica, that's what they're doing. And now I don't have the video because, you know, and there's another heart. There's hearts over the children's faces, right? But again, like, you know, you're getting a sense of what's happening here. I'm talking to the young boy. I use the another here because I don't know if you were able to hear what he said, that the reason why he likes origami is because he really likes Japanese films, right? And so, like, I want to make sure that the viewer has a sense of what's happening. And you get the sense that we're in a library, right? And look, there's hearts over the children's faces again, right? We're in a library. You hear Leslie speaking. You know, there's hearts. You're in a library. You hear me because the little girl's interviewing me. We're practicing, right? And then here's the undergraduates. You're hearing the audio of them talking about how it was like to work with the kids that day. And then again, we fade out. Right, we fade out here. The last, you know, this is actually us stopping to get coffee, but I put it at the end because it gives you a sense of what we had to do to get there. And then, you know, you see a picture of everybody that was involved, and then I fade the picture. The last picture before the slide is good books make your mind blown, because now you understand that we were inside of a library, right? That this took place in a library. And then there's that last transition again, which is the travel transition, and then you see that last thing, right? And there I told the story in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Wow.
Right. And so it's you know, it's not that hard. It really is just time extensive. And then when you're done with your project, this is what I love about this video, is that this program is that when you're done with your project and you're like, I like it, I think I finally got it, you just hit this button that says export. Right, you hit that button that says export, and what do you want to name your export? I'm going to say, you know, Santa Cruz, you know, site visit, or whatever I want to call it, and I tell it where I want it to go. And remember, I told you I have a UC links folder on my computer. I want it to go there, right? And then you hit settings and you tell it you don't want it to be better, you want it to be best. You want it to be the best quality, and then you just hit OK, and it saves it for you, right? And there, like now I've shown you a little bit of what it's like to build. What it's like to build a video. You know,
Wow.
And that,
Awesome,
that's it.
Carla.
Yay.